Hi everyone, it's Desiree. Day 23. And I think the picture says it all. Tags, tags, and even more tags. There is a total of 56 tags that will be shown in this video. Not 56 different techniques, but a total of 56 tags. Now, down below, I'm going to have it broken down to time so that you can choose which ones you want to look at if you have a favorite stamp set or whatever. So hopefully that helps. This video's really been sped up. It's a long video and I may gab. I don't know if I'll have time though. So let's talk about the first style tag up. This die is by Avery Elle, and that's exactly what it is. It is a die set. So it cuts the outline of the, what I'm going to refer to as the skinny tag, and then it also has an insert that will spell out no peeking. You can keep the letters individually, so you can take those letters and put them on another tag if you want, or you can just keep the die cut, and that's what I've chosen to do. 9 out of 10 when I create tags, I do like to create a double layer tag, and that is what I'm doing here. So I have the solid piece that I cut where I'm stamping the to and the from, and then I have the other piece where I used the die to cut out no peeking, which will be above this. For each of the ones that have the to and the from stamp, I am scoring just down from where the piece goes straight again, because I like to do double tags. So glue is just going to be put onto the top part so that it can open up. It's like a really mini skinny card in some cases. I was able to dig into my scraps for this one. So I chose some solid cardstock, I chose some mirror, I chose some glitter, textured, whatever it was. Just had to have something to do with Christmas. So again, greens, reds, blues, aquas, silvers, golds, all of those fun colors. You could even go into purples and pinks and pale blues and lime greens as well. It doesn't matter. These are tags. So they could be anything that you want them to be. When it came to this die, I cut 9 of them out. I thought I had 10, but somehow I was short one somewhere. And again, I'm just keeping that color on the background, and I will then layer these together to create the tag. The only thing that I will not be showing is how I strung them. I will do a review at the end of this video to show all of the tags that I made and what they finally do look like. Okay, so we're coming down to the wire, just a few more. Now, what we're doing, wait a minute, I moved on. Hold on, sorry. So what we're doing, I'm putting glue at the very top above the score line, and then I'm adding one of the no peeking elements to the top. Again, it's like a skinny side opening slimline tag. That was a lot to say. I'm not sure I even understood that, but that's what we've created. Let's just go with it. I think it's kind of cool. So we're just going to put the last one in. And then you can see how it looks when you do open those. So those are all the no peekings. Again, Avery Elle. So the next one is the Snowflake Ornament Fancy Die by Hero Arts. Now I'm going to use one of these sentiments. It's from a Recollections set, and I have had this for a while, but I just love the font and the way that they look. I think they are gorgeous. So I've cut out the solid, 2 of the solid pieces. I cut out one of the fancy die part, and then I also cut out a piece of vellum, and that's what I'm going to stamp on and do my heat embossing. I'm either going to use the gold embossing powder or silver. All depends on the color scheme that we're doing here. Now remember, when you heat emboss vellum, you really do want your heat gun to be nice and warm so that the vellum does not warp badly, because it will. It really will. Ask me how I know. Kind of like coils up. It's kind of interesting. So we're just going to get those ready, the centers ready, and then we're going to start doing our layering. So lots of gluing is going to be happening here. So let's take care of the last one. And we're going to do that one in copper. And then once that heat set, we are all set to go. So again, just using my glue to go around the edge of the snowflake die, putting a little bit on each of the snowflakes underneath. I want to be careful that I don't put too much glue because I don't want it oozing out the side to show on the vellum. Vellum is very temperamental. Even though the glue may come out, when it dries, it leaves a mark. It doesn't, I guess, go somewhat see-through. So again, only putting glue behind where the cardstock is. I'm not saying I'm not going to get glue to seep out. Of course I did, which I'm fine with. But that's how I layered that together. On the inside, I'm going to stamp a to and a from the same stamp set that I'm using. And I'm going to heat emboss those as well. I just love those to and froms. I think they are awesome. But remember, you don't necessarily have to have a stamp set that says to and from. You can also write it using your own handwriting. Always remember we have two hands. I sometimes forget. And that is our first one. Next up is another Hero Arts fancy die, and this one's called the Poinsettia Ornament. Of course, the first one was a round shape, and this one's in a teardrop. And you can see the colors that I chose for this one. I went with an aqua, a maroon, and like a periwinkle. I think that's that color there. Again, using one of the sentiments from that Recollections Stamp set, we are stamping that right on the center. Now, these do not have a piece of vellum. I went straight onto the cardstock. I'm prepping it with my anti-static pouch, just to make sure that the embossing powder stays where it's supposed to stay. The colors that I'm pulling in are silver, gold, and they're white, which they call snow. And we just have one more to stamp, and then we will start layering these. So again, making sure that my heat tool is nice and warm. Just bringing that around for our final piece. And this is what they will look like once they are layered. I'm going to glue around the edge and a little bit, just put small dots on the pieces that go towards the center and just start layering those. Again, I created a 2-level tag because I have the backing as well. I'm going to score right at the break where the topper of the ornament looks like it would sit, and that's where it will hinge. You can write to and from on the inside. You could even turn these into a card, which could then go into an ornament if you just put some ribbon or twine or jute through the top of the ornament. We're making it stronger by double layering the cardstock. So that's a good thing. And then our last one, we will put that in. For these three, I just love the colors that I chose. You know, there's times as you're making it, you're like, I really like that. This is one of those times. I love these three. You know, I know I've said this before in videos, but every year, my sister gets a box for me. Okay, let's talk about this one real quick, because of course, as you can see, I did not hit record. You knew there was going to be one, right? So this is a penny black die. And it just is very simple just to create these layers with these squares. I used some red glitter for the do not open till December 25th. Pulled out some of my favorite things, black and white stripe or patterned paper, to put those together. Yeah, you knew there was going to be one in this series. Surprised there's not more. Okay, moving on. So this is also a Recollections stamp set. It's very general, very plain, but it can really pack a punch. It's specifically for tags. It's got 2 different tag stamps. It has 3 different tag dies that came with it, and all of these sentiments. I am literally just going to town. I chose 3 colors to stamp on my craft cardstock: white, red, and black. I know, I believe it was Nicole Spohr that just recently did a video on tags, and I think they had she did the gnomes. I love the gnomes. And she used pattern paper for them and everything, but she used the same color scheme, and I was very much inspired by that. I love that color scheme. I love white on craft. So adding the black and the red was a lot of fun. So these are all the sets that I have. Some are embossed, some are stamped, and now we're just going to add our sentiments or our fillers. These tags are really very simple and quick to make if you would like to have handmade tags, or maybe you want to give it as a gift. Speaking of that, like I was saying before, so every year, and I guess I started this let's say it's 2020, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe, I think 3 or 4. So every year, I hate to wrap gifts. I am not a wrapper. And I'm also not that person. Because I hate wrapping, I'm going to put everything in a bag and tissue paper. I won't do that either. So I suffer. I suffer through the wrapping. But, however, my sister, it's not that she loves it, but she doesn't mind wrapping. And she goes all out. She puts the bows, and she adds the ribbons, and she adds the tags. Me, I'm lucky I can wrap it. I add a sticker, and I write, "Yep, from Santa." Because we believe, we will always believe. So every year what I started, because she just loves to do that, is I give her a box of tags. So throughout the year, as I make tags, whether they're gift tags for birthdays or weddings, or in this case Christmas, all of those tags go in there. Now there's some that I'll hold back. I'll keep one because, and again, I know I've said this before, there is a tree. It's not going up this year. That's a whole other story. But I have multiple trees. And one of them is specifically for paper. So it's tags, ornaments, maybe if I made a small card and I want to put that on there. So that's what sits on this. So there are some of the tags that I make that will go onto that tree and act as an ornament. But she does, and she looks forward to this box because she just never knows what she's going to get in there. Now this one's very much so jam-packed. Okay, so real quick. So you can see that the set came with dies. But here what I'm showing is when it comes to tags, they are very simple to cut out. So if you just have a stamp set that has the tag outline, you're fine to do that fussy cutting. Also know, even if it doesn't have the outline that you can cut along, tags are very simple to create. You know, determine your size, cut off the corner, flip the corner over to the other side, and cut along that. I show that many times in my journal videos. Okay, on to the next one. I'm also using lots of mediums, just saying. So for these three, the stamp set is by Newton's Nook, and it's called Jolly Tags, and there is a die set that's available separately. So I've stamped 3 of the images, and I'm going to be using watercolor pencils. Now, the one is Prismacolor watercolor pencils, and the other ones are Derwent Inktense pencils. So again, we've got pigment in the watercolor pencils, and we've got actual ink going on for the pigment in the Derwent. Please let me make that delineation and separation, because one times I called Derwent watercolor pencils, and oh my goodness, I thought the world was going to come to an end. Okay, so they are different. However, they can be used the same way. Okay, so what's great with a watercolor pencil is you can lay down the color like you would a colored pencil. You don't have to, don't be dark. Do not add pressure. I am using Bristol Vellum cardstock. It's the same as the Bristol Smooth. I see no difference when it comes to those, and I accidentally bought the Vellum. It works just fine. What's nice with watercolors, as I said, you don't want to put a lot of pressure. Your objective here is not the same as it is with a colored pencil when you want to fill in the tooth to have a solid looking image. You want to be able to have color down so that you can get the pigment to react when you add the water to it. So I'm just able to color. I am adding more than one color. You can layer these colors, but again, there's nothing that has to be precise when it comes to using a watercolor pencil, which I think is great. Sometimes I used watercolor pencils when I started card making. I used watercolor pencils a lot, and that will actually, in my opinion, will help you grow in your colored pencil, because you're learning where to put the shadows and so forth. So you can see I'm just adding all the colors. I'm coloring all three images, just placing color where I want it. Again, you can see I'm leaving highlights, leaving white areas, because that area will be lighter as we add the water. Now, the one thing that I will say too, I am really not a water pen person, if that makes sense. I like the brush and water technique. Now, the brush that I use, I need it to be very springy. I don't want to use a soft brush. I want to use a very firm, stiff brush. So I do like the Ranger or the Nouveau brushes. They're very, very cost effective. Nice price points. Nice, and you get a set. So that's what's great with either of them. But I find the firmer the bristles, the better they move the pigment. They also move better on Bristol. Again, my opinion. So you can see as I'm adding the water, these colors just come to life. It's beautiful. I think it's awesome. I have a lot of fun with it. They act just like watercolors. They will mix together. They will blend together. That's why I came in with that paper towel, because I had some of the red going into the background of the blue. I didn't want that. I didn't want purple. So you can see how Newton is just coming to life with all of the different colors, and you can see the different colors. You can see the shading on the edge and the lighter towards the center of it. So I do like watercolor pencils. Do I have a favorite? No, I really don't. I think if you're looking for the most pigment, your Derwent Inktense, again, because it's ink, it's an ink powder that's in there. So they will be more intense when it comes to that. But I think, you know, if you're looking for a good set to start with, you know, the Arteza sets are fine. They're very good. Good price point. But you can see, I just love the way that they do. They just, when you add that water, that black used to look gray. So it's kind of neat when you see them come to life. And you don't need much water. I don't add a lot of water to these. But once they were dry, again, they do have a dye that is sold separately. But you can see these are straight edges. and very quick that we can cut them just using our scissors down each of those lines. Now again, I'm going to make a double tag. Now for some reason, I did not show all of how I made this double tag. Again, this video was very long, so I know someone will ask me. So again, 56 tags total. How long did it take? This actually took all of these tags. I did them in one shot. I had everything laid out, knew the mediums I was going to use, and just went to town. So this actually, they took about 8 hours. That includes the coloring, the die cutting, the prep, you know, to have the stack next to me and just pull it over and everything else. So yeah, it did take anywhere between 6 to 8 hours to complete them. But again, 56 tags. So I was pretty happy with that. Woohoo! So you can see I took them, I put them on top of a piece of craft cardstock, and I'm just cutting around them, straight edge. And then I'm also cutting, I had 2 pieces there, so I have the same size right behind it. I'm just taking a black fine line marker and I'm adding to and from. We don't always have to stamp that onto our tags. I'm going to layer these up. I will do a score line just below where the tag balances out, you know, becomes even. And I will glue my tags together just along that area above the score line. And again, it can be the most adorable ornament. It's the perfect ornament for a gift. That's what a tag is. It's an ornament for a gift. And we're just going to punch the holes. Now you can see on white cardstock, I heat embossed silver these solid snowflakes. And I even fussy cut those as well. So we are all good with that. Oh, on to our next one. You can see I just like ended the video. I must have hit stop and didn't realize it. It's amazing what I do. So, pulled out my Zig water brush pens. And this stamp set is by Darcies. And it is called Christmas Wishes. So again, when it comes to the Zig or water brush pens, I like to use Bristol. Again, I use the vellum, bought it by accident, have tons of it. I'm just going to continue to use it. It works just fine. I don't see a difference between that and the smooth. I put a little bit of the color down because these are very pigmented. Whether it's the Zig version, the Arteza version, or the Ohuhu. I like saying that. There's different types out there. They are very pigmented, so you don't have to add a lot. Again, I'm using my brush with a little bit of water. I have a towel, a cloth that's actually sitting outside of the frame where when I go in the water to clean it, I push the tip down onto that towel and it absorbs some of the water out of the brush. You can see I'm just doing some light coloring on this. I'm using a warm gray for my snowmen. I'm coming in, just moving that color around. And again, very little. These are extremely pigmented. So a little does go a long way. I also get the question a lot, are these refillable? No, these are not refillable. The only watercolor brush pens that I know that are refillable are the Altenews. And their brush is to die for. It's very thin. It's got a great point to it. Absolutely. So, but they are refillable, which is awesome. So again, now I made a total of 3 of these. So I'm only showing the 2 different designs that I colored. So we're just going to finish those up. And again, you can see the shading just by putting the color at one end. And again, if you want to make sure you have good shading, I always just come in with clean water. So after I started the pigment movement, I will put my brush back into the water, clean it, get all the water out, and then I'll push down so that I do have that highlight that's going on. I'm putting a little bit of blue around each of the images, a very pale blue, just so that they'll stand out. Just so that we can get that, you know, just like a halo that's going to go around them. And again, because I'm moving quick and just real quick scribbling along it, I'll be able to move this. I do find I work with one color. It's not like a watercolor pencil. Again, totally different medium. I get it. But when it comes to your watercolor pencils, you can just keep adding colors and then add your water. With these, I find if they dry, if they lose the moisture from the pen, and you come back in, it's sometimes tough to move it. So I always work one color at a time. I grabbed my scrapbook.com adhesive, and I'm going to prop these tags up. Now the die tag, or the tag die that I'm using, is by Pink and Main, and it's called their Scalloped Tag Die. So it's got this beautiful, huge scallop piece that's also with the regular die. So I'm going to set those right on top of that. And again, I'm creating that double layer tag. Again, make it a card, keep it a tag, make it an ornament, whatever it is you want to do. And if you make it an ornament, you can just write your sentiment or your Christmas greetings or holiday greetings inside of this tag. So that's what's kind of cool about it. And we're going to put the last one together. I'm also going to create a topper. And again, in case you don't have that tag that's got a tag topper onto it or anything else like that, I'm just taking some small strips of craft cardstock, and I'm going to fold them in half. So it's just going to be this tab that's going to come off of the top from the scalloped. And then I'm going to punch my hole in that. So you can see I'm just hitting those scallops with this. And when I punch the hole, it'll just have, because that, and the reason why I didn't punch it in the tag itself is because I didn't want to disrupt the image, the white part. I didn't want to put a hole through that. And I didn't know if the hole would have enough just going through the colored cardstock. So just punching that hole in and trying to get the paper out so I can see where I'm punching the next hole, and then we will all be good. And those are those three, just reinforcing that score line so that they will open. Let's do some ink smushing. Now you all know I love my ink smushing. It is my favorite technique. I think if I could ink smush everything, I'd be a happy camper. I think I gotta try it on my walls. Could you imagine? Can you tell it's really late and I'm tired? So the colors that I am using, moving on, Festive Berries, Chip Sapphire. I'm using the beautiful new green Rustic Wilderness. And I also used Forest Moss, but I don't end up using it in any of this one here. I don't end up using it on any of my projects. I'm literally ink smushing with just this one color. And you can see your first print, you get the full-on effect. The second time you go in, you get that. That's the effect that I like. Now, to get the droplet look, or the scattered look, you want to make sure that you're on a silicone mat. If you use your glass mat, you're going to get more of a watercolor look. The more water you add to your ink when it's on your mat, the more watercolor look it will be. The less water you add, the more speckled it'll be, like the left-hand side that you're seeing compared to the right. Now, the right, I still have speckles. All right, I just don't have as many. That one there that I'm drying right now, I like that one. I like this one because I have the difference. You can see I have more solid areas on this panel. So your first panel, when you do ink smushing, is always going to have more of the ink. It's the first position into it. You're pushing down into that pigment, and then you're actually spreading it out along the piece of paper, so that when you come in with the second piece of paper, you've got more of those droplets. It's a process, but it's an awesome process. I love this process. It's my favorite. Jeez. So these are the 3 colors. I did 2 panels of each. And what I'm going to be using for these panels are the Simon Says Stamp Tag Dies. It's the Holly and Berries, it's the Holiday Snowflake, and the Wreath tag. Now, I believe the snowflake and the wreath had come in their last year's tag kit. And then I know every once in a while I see that they came out with a new one. So I'm going to town with splattering. I grabbed my metallic set by Ganzi, or Gonzi. I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. The Starry Colors. And I'm using the white gold and the pale gold, I think it's called. And I'm just going to town. I am splattering away. Absolutely loving it. I love the look of splatters. I love making my pictures look like snow blizzards. I don't like a snow blizzard, but I just love the look. I'm pulling out my Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white watercolor. I love this. I'm putting this on oxides. It will not go to the color of the oxide. That's why I love it. Is it pricey? Yes, it is. It is at a higher price point, but I just grab a little bit of it and I add water to it and it lasts for a long time. So I did take some black soot. Yes, I did. I know everybody hates it when I bring in the black soot, but I do like the effect it gives. And I added it to the white watercolor to make it like a gray and added that as well. I am now going to die cut. So I'm going to strategically place these onto these panels and die cut them. I want to see those white areas. I want to see my splatters. So by strategically placing these dies, I'm getting a different look every time. For each of these tag dies, you have the cutout where I ink smushed, and then you have the solid piece. Or you could keep them both together and then just have the cutouts. But I wanted the solid piece and layer the dies. I chose to cut or create a tag using white cardstock and craft cardstock. And these will also be double layered for the construction. So you can see I'm just adding these to the card. I'm working on the wreath first. I'm adding the bow to the top, and then I will add glue to the top of the other tag without any embellishment onto it, and to make them the double layered. So I'll be doing the same thing for each one of these. I love the chip sapphire. I mean, it's a beautiful dark color, but it's got a beautiful purple tint to it. And I love that purple tint. It's there. You can definitely see it depending upon how you look at it. But when you keep adding to it, it will get to be a dark blue. That's a color that he is missing, though, from his line. A true navy blue. Oh, that would be awesome. I am loving every single one of his new colors that he has come out. It's almost like it's linking all of the other ones together. So, in case anyone's listening, navy blue would be great. Anyway, so now I'm working on the holly. I'm going to add all of those pieces there. And you can see I have the different colors when it comes to the holly leaves. There's just a difference between each one. And again, it adds interest. Yes, I tore that one off because it was missing a piece and I just noticed it and I was not going to have that. Just say. So now I'm putting on the berries. And to give all of these just some accents or embellishments, I am going to add some jewels to these, but not many. Not going to go and get carried away. I mean, you could, but I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to have just a little bit, just a few jewels on that. So it'll have just some shimmer in case, especially if you put it on a tree and your lights are flickering on it and everything else. So it's kind of cool. So just putting it together, and now we're just going to add those jewels. So that's the pot that I have filled with those things. I love these gems. I think they're great. They are all the same size. I don't know what size they are. I want to say they're in the range of like maybe a 4mm size. I mean, I think they're a good size. You don't get the difference, where you can put a large and then two small ones next to it. But I think they're great. Again, I get them on Amazon. I got them a while ago from Amazon. And they come in some beautiful colors. One of the colors I love, I think it's like a brown. And then the other color is like a smoke gray. It's really pretty. So they just add just little tiny accents. The red's nice and bright. And so is the green. So we're just going to add just one to each of the leaves just to accent those. So you can see I added berries around the wreath. And then I added a center to the snowflakes, and then two different ways to put, or two different colors on the outside. All right, so very simple tags. Maybe you love to make tags, but you don't want to go through everything that I just showed you because it takes a lot, or maybe you're missing something. Get a white colored pencil, and it can be any colored pencil. Stamp your image in white and just add accents. This stamp set here is by Your Next Stamp, and it's called Cute Holiday Tags. There are dies that are available sold separately. All I'm doing is adding some white accent to these. I'm adding it into the corner. I'm adding it into the images. Nothing fancy with this at all. And it's a perfect tag. It already has the to and the from. So you don't even have to worry about that. So if you wanted to have a handmade look for your tags, this is the easiest way to go. And again, you can do this with any color. You can do it with reds, you can do it with greens, you can do it with blues. Whatever color you would want, you can do this same technique. Again, it's a mono, a very monotone type tag. But I think it's very effective. I think it's cute. It stands out by adding the shading in the corners and at the top. It makes it look frosted in a way. And I'm putting my fingers in quotes like you all can see that. But yeah, very, very simple, very quick to put all of these together. I always keep a white Prismacolor. When it comes to the white color pencil, my favorite, my go-to is Prismacolor. I think it's more opaque. I think it blends easier, more simpler. I do have the Faber-Castells as well. I just don't think they're dark enough. I don't think they're opaque. I think they've got a lot of translucent to them. And I like a white to be very opaque. I use the die, and this is what they look like when they're cut out. And voila, you've got tags. So here's something new. So I was in my local Michael's, and they were having a sale. They were actually clearancing these off, and they are wine bottle tags. It's a tag. It's in the video. So I am pulling in my collaging. I do love to collage. And I found I had some great digital downloads. And then I searched for like wine, for like bottled type of downloads. I found another digital download of burgundy. Again, I'm doing the quotes like y'all can see me, but burgundy style pattern papers. So, okay, burgundy wines. So, again, had this whole link. I pulled in from Artie Mays her tickets. So I have some tickets. And then I pulled some other digitals as well. And they will definitely be linked down below. Because, of course, I don't have them in front of me. Of course, I don't have those written. I know one of the companies that I did use was Pink Monarch, I believe, when it came to the digital downloads. I'm pulling in some of my coffee dyed papers, and I stamped with my clear ink, and I'm using the Mama Elephant Retro Holiday Label Stamp Set. I absolutely love this stamp set. Yes, because it's retro. Yes, you guessed it. So I'm stamping them. I'm using my gold embossing powder, and I'm going to tear them just to give that torn look. And I have these piles of ephemera, you know, little bits that I'm going to actually layer on the bottle tags. So I think it's really cool. I think these are also able, you know, as I'm looking at them, it's very simple. If you don't have these in your local craft store, or if you don't want to get them, you can simply make them yourself if you have, you know, a circle punch for the top, and then a pair of scissors to cut the bottom. So you can see I'm tearing. There's my vintage photo. I love my vintage photo. You all know that. So I'm just going to start my collaging. I'm going to start layering. You all know how much I really do enjoy this. I picked a few of the bottle ephemera. Now what this is, it's all champagne. That's what they're talking, but I think they're great. Maybe you're putting this on a bottle of champagne. I mean, it's very possible. By all means, I'm making sure the overhangs are being wrapped around to the back. No one's going to see the back, so that's fine. But I wanted to make sure, you know, there's a ticket there, or an ad, or something like I usually always put. Making sure that crease line is set when it comes to this. And we're just going to go through and keep adding to our collection. I think I do like 4 or 5 when it comes to this. I absolutely enjoy this. When it comes to just adding it, I am using my glue stick, my Woohoo. I love some of the names of the companies we have. Can you tell I'm tired? I'm just saying. And I'm using just some book pages that I'll be able to use for other things, just to capture the glue so that I don't get it all over the place, because I do that all the time. By using the vintage photo, that helps to separate each of the images that I'm putting down onto the tag. It helps identify it. It helps to keep it independent of everything else. You can write on the other side, again, the to and the from. They'll be able to flip that upside down. Just make sure that you do write it upside down. Meaning, think about it. When it's on the bottle, you're going to lift up the fishtail. So make sure you put your to at the fishtail end, and then from towards the circle end, if that makes sense. Because then when they pick it up, they'll be able to read it instead of trying to turn their head or put the bottle upside down. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And of course, you know, when I put this on a bottle, I'll forget to do that, even though I'm telling you all to do it. So see, hear me. Don't do what I do. Do it better. Absolutely. Do it better. So when it comes to this, now, and you can use any images you want. I do enjoy and like the vintage style, the vintage look, when it comes to the layering, and so forth. So, you know, again, you can use whatever it is that you would want to use. So as I always say, have fun with it. Enjoy. Make sure that you are enjoying what you're doing. And add what you have. Dig into your stash. There's always lots of things that we have that I'm sure that are in there. So I didn't show all of them, but these are the wine bottle or champagne bottle tags that we made. They are tags as well. All right, this is it. Here is the pile, and it's actually all over my table here. So you can see I have the Hero Arts there on the right. I have the Newton's Nook up at the top. The Avery Elle die, the Penny Black, your next stamp, of course the wine bottles, the Recollections, and then the Darcies. So many different ways to put your tags together, whether it's just stamping, embossing, die cutting, and whatever coloring medium you like. You always have a lot of options to create your tags with. You can see I added black and white twine. I added, of course, my tassel loops up at the top. Just, you can use anything, string, yarn, you know, whatever it is you would want to use when it comes to this. These would make also beautiful gifts. You know, maybe there's that person that you just don't know what to get them. There's nothing wrong with a beautiful card set or a beautiful tag set. Whether it's, and you can make it for any celebration. Make it for a birthday. Make it for graduation or whatever that would be. You have all kinds of choices. So, you know, take a gander at them and have fun with it. And plus, if you just make them because you enjoy making them, you'll always have a stash. That's how my sister looks at it anyway. So again, I'm showing you the close-ups of these because there was just so many. Again, knowing this video is a long one, it's showing everything. I will have the breakdown of where everything is. So if you like Newton's Nook, I'm going to go by the stamp company, or if it's just the die, of course, just the die. So like in the case where I used both the Pink and Main die and the Newton's Nook stamp set, it's going to show the Newton's Nook stamp set. You'll be able to go right to that section and focus in on that. So I'll try to give a description on each tag. I'm telling you this now at the end of the video, but I'll also put that in the video description as well, so you will see it, so in case you don't want to watch the whole thing. But again, just using 3 types of ink, white, red, and black, and maybe just some embossing, silver, copper, gold, clear, because you can create a tone-on-tone onto your cardstock. You know, lots of options there. And again, and this is simply just stamping your images and just mix and matching the colors of your inks. Do you have to go with red, black, and white? Absolutely not. I did because I was inspired when Nicole did hers on her craft cardstock. I love that look. It's like a rustic look without all the plaid. The Hero Arts, you know, beautiful dies, beautiful, intricate areas that they create on their dies. And again, these can go either way, ornaments or tags. That's the beauty of that when it comes to these images. I love the teardrop of the poinsettia. I am a poinsettia fan. I'm surprised. I mean, I think I could do 25 days of poinsettias with like one stamp. No, I'm not going to do that. But just color it different ways and the different ways that you can put them together. Here are the Avery Elle's. These are the no peeking. Again, that's what that sentiment looks like there. Just stamping the to and from on the inside and adding a little bit of a tag coming into that perfect tags in no time. And just by simply die cutting and digging into your stash. So you see a theme. We are digging into our stash and using what we have, because we can't throw those scraps away. This is what the Newton's Nook look like after they're colored, and with the snowflake tag. That you can even say that's where I'm going to put my to and from, or just the recipient's name, so that the other elements can be just left alone. So again, you give options. You give choices when it comes to these things as well. And again, they're nice size. They're not too big, but I do like a big tag too. I mean, I've made a tag that's been 8 inches long. Tags are fun. I enjoy tags. The next ones that I'm going to show are those ones where we ink smush. These are the Simon Says Stamp, Snowflake, Holly and Berry, and Wreath dies, where you get that layered look, if you want to do it that way, or you could have a cutout look, depending upon how you want that to be. Again, I just used craft or white card base, and you can get 2 different looks by doing that. With the craft, you get more of a country look, and with the white, you get a softer effect on the tag, which I think is really cool. Think about it, if you used black, it would be bold. Those colors would really, really jump out off of that. And again, that's just by changing your cardstock for the background. And then finally, the new version, another way to throw in a vintage style look and add in the collaging. And again, you do not have to do the collaging, but just take some of the ideas to create your own bottle tags. Remember, just make sure you write it upside down so that when they flip it up, it's easily read and they don't have to play yoga. Just saying. So again, these are all the tags. I'm going to slowly bring them back in so that you can see them. Again, between 6 to 8 hours, just for all of these when somebody wants to know the time. But again, you can get 56 tags done in one day, which I think is pretty cool. They all don't have to be. Sometimes I know I do. I overthink a project. Because, you know, I've got to make it intricate. I've got to make it difficult. And here, sometimes, again, the most simplistic is the best. So I do hope you enjoyed this. I put all the tags into one video. I know it's long, and yep, it was Gabby. But again, I wanted to make sure that I put this together for all of you. So again, that was day 23. It's supposed to be another day, but that's okay. Everything's just all out of whack right now. As before, all of the products that I used will be listed down below, along with the timeline if you want to go to a specific area. If you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below as well. I hope you didn't fall asleep. I hope I didn't lose you. But by all means, I look forward to your comments and questions. Smile, laugh, enjoy. We are now so close to the holidays and Christmas and everything else that goes on during this time of the year. Enjoy it. Continue to stay safe and healthy while we're enjoying the holidays. But most of all, remember what's most important for me. Always be creative. Day 24 is close.